So today our lesson for skills is a whole group read aloud again of Andrew Jackson this time. The title of today's chapter is Andrew Jackson, and let's have a discussion about how the attack on Baltimore was different than the attack on Washington, D.C. So just kind of think to yourself how the two were different. And you're going to need your book, so if you need to go ahead and pause this to get out your War of 1812 book, that would be good. Let's go over some tricky words that we're going to see in our reading today. Andrew, which is just a name. So say the word Andrew with me. Very good, Andrew. And new. This word is new. Let's preview the vocabulary, and you can look at the pictures to help you know what the word is. So whenever you hear this word in the story, you can place it with this picture. Peace, treaty, mouth, which is just like the water, where the water comes out of the mouth. General, an orphan, naughty, hickory, which is this type of tree, ragtag. So we're going to open up our reader now, and we'll need our fish book later. So go ahead and get out your reader and open up to the Andrew Jackson chapter 9. You can pause this if you need to, but we're going to go ahead and get started with the reading. Hold on. Okay, here we go. So, chapter 9, Andrew Jackson. After the Battle of Baltimore, both sides began to get tired of the war. They called a meeting. Men from both sides sat down to try to find a peace treaty. They just kind of wanted to come to an agreement. They wanted peace. But in the meantime, the war went on. The British sent troops to attack the city of New Orleans on the Gulf of Mexico. And you can see this picture of New Orleans, what it looked like at the time. You can see why New Orleans is an important place if you look at the map on the next page. The city is located at the mouth of the Mississippi River, right where the river drains into the Gulf of Mexico. From New Orleans, you can travel north along the Mississippi River. You can also turn off onto other rivers that feed into the Mississippi, like the Ohio River. These rivers are like highways that lead right into the middle of North America. In 1814, New Orleans was already an important, big port. Lots of ships landed there. Farmers could ship their goods down the river and sell them in New Orleans. Traders could unload goods in New Orleans and ship them up the river. New Orleans was an important city, not only for the people who had homes there, but also for the farmers up the river in places like Ohio and Kentucky. If the British took New Orleans, they could control trade along the Mississippi. Farmers in Ohio and Kentucky would be cut off. The Americans could not let this happen. They sent an army to defend the city. The army was led by a man named Andrew Jackson. And you can see how New Orleans is located at the mouth of the Mississippi River, so right here. So it's the beginning of where all the trade routes lead. Andrew Jackson was from Tennessee. He had joined the U.S. Army during the American Revolution. At the time, he was just a boy. He was too young to fight. He carried notes from place to place. During the Revolution, Jackson and his brother were taken prisoner by the British. It was a difficult time for them. They were treated badly. They almost starved to death. Jackson's brother got sick and died. While he was a prisoner, Jackson had a run-in with a British officer. The man ordered Jackson to clean his boots. Jackson was proud and stubborn. He refused. The man shouted at Jackson. Still, Jackson refused. The man struck Jackson with his weapon. Jackson was left with a scar on his face. As a result of this, Andrew Jackson had no love for the British. He was happy to fight them again as an army general when the War of 1812 broke out. And here's a picture of Andrew Jackson. So you can kind of picture this whenever you hear his name. Jackson had not been trained as a soldier, but he was bold and strong. His mother had died when he was young. He had gotten by on his own as an orphan. He had made his own way of life. During the first part of the War of 1812, Jackson battled against Native Americans in the West. Many Native Americans had sided with the British. Jackson's men called him Old Hickory because he was as strong as a knotty old piece of hickory wood. In 1814, Old Hickory was given an important job. He was told to raise an army to protect New Orleans. Jackson rushed to the city. He picked up new troops along the way. Many of the men who joined him were farmers, but there were also free African Americans, Native Americans, and even pirates. When Jackson arrived, he ordered his ragtag army to set up walls and get ready for an attack. Then they waited. And you can see this, Andrew Jackson on his horse. So we're going to stop right there, and you can play that again if you need to, or you can read it to yourself now. But what we're going to have to do today is 23.1 in our fish book, and you can pause to get that out. And it just says answer each question with a complete sentence. So we need to focus on using wrap, restate, answer, and prove. And you need to answer these questions. Why was New Orleans an important city in 1814? What you can do is listen to my story again, or you can go back and find it yourself in the book. So we can go back and see that it was an important city. Do you remember why? Because, right, it was the mouth of all the trade routes. So we can talk about that in our answer. So you're going to need to complete all of those. It's 2 pages, and then you'll complete page, it's in the lesson plan, but I'm pretty sure it's 23.5, and it's just a little fun crossword puzzle. So you'll complete that too for today. Just a fun little crossword puzzle. But I really want you to focus on your writing and your rap for these questions, okay? Bye, guys.